What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for June 6, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Before we get into the meat of today's episode, quick update from yesterday. We were talking about the Phillies-Astros rivalry, and we were talking about when Mike Schmidt broke up Nolan Ryan's no-hitter back in 1988. Well, I didn't know who won that game. The Phillies did end up losing that game 3-2 in 10 innings. But as always, I want to make sure I'm providing you the most accurate facts, stats, and everything I can. So there is your update from yesterday. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little bit of motivation / positivity. And usually these things, and I guess that's why I tend to put them in there, they hit me at the right time. And this one in particular with a couple different things. I read this a few weeks ago. I follow a guy, Michael Sonbert. I worked with him, did some trainings with him. He does a lot of instructional coaching, and he does a lot of leadership coaching now. And that's where I got this from, his company, Rebel Culture. And I don't get paid by him, but I highly recommend, even if you're not in a leadership position at work, you check it out, rebelculture.com, and sign up for the daily newsletter. Every day in my inbox, I wake up to some sort of kind of like our Tuesday motivation positivity. And this one from a couple weeks ago really stuck out to me. There's a lot of things going on at work right now with changes we're doing, and not all of them obviously are always going to be popular, especially when it comes to change. And if you know anything about the education world, teachers and people in education, they despise change, yet it's probably the one industry where things change the most. But anyway, the quote is, "Circumstances don't make a person, they reveal them." And I think that's very telling, because when you do go through some things that are changing and things that are going to be unpopular, the way people react, it's always interesting to me. And you're going to have the people that are fighting tooth and nail. And to me, that kind of reveals a lot about that person and their character and things like that. But what really made me think when I read this quote is the 8th anniversary of my mother-in-law being diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And thinking back, I mean, that could have gone she could have reacted one of two ways. And to me, it reveals a lot about who she is as a person, because she reacted a certain way. And here it is 8 years later, and she's still fighting. She's out there advocating. It's hard sometimes for her, for everyone. However, I mean, 8 years later, she's still here and she's fighting. So just goes to show your circumstances don't necessarily make the person. It reveals who you are. So my mother-in-law was the person she was before this diagnosis. This is just shining a light on just how strong and how amazing of a person she is. So this quote, like I said, it really hit me hard. And some of those teachers I have that are really like fighting and pushing back and complaining and this and that, it's kind of revealing to me as well, too, kind of how they are as a person. But just remember, your circumstances don't make you. They reveal who you are. So what do your circumstances say about you? All right. Well, Phillies won again. Have they turned the corner? And I'm saying that cautiously and optimistically, because I've said this a couple times already and been burnt by it. But I think the difference is one person in particular, a very high-paid free agent, starting to kind of turn it on. Trey Turner had 2 home runs last night. He's putting together a couple good games in a row. Is he finally breaking out of this slump? And are we going to get the Trey Turner we paid for? If that's the case, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say this team is ready to start possibly making a run, because it's June. They've historically have played better in June. Now you got your star free agent starting to play better. Maybe that'll take some of the pressure off of Schwarber and some of the other guys in that lineup. Then you have your bullpen, which has been pitching pretty well. Alvarado is making a rehab start tonight in Reading. Hopefully he'll be back. Aaron Nola looked like the ace last night. No-hitter through 6 2/3. Again, I'm being very cautious with this because I've been burnt by it a few times this season already. I want to see them continue to do this without the 4, 5, 6 game losing streaks. But very, very good win for the Phillies last night. And yes, it's the Tigers. Yes, it was the Nationals. But those are the teams that they're doing the things they need to do against the teams they should do it against. And this is where you start getting right, and that momentum carries over. Excuse me. Allergies are still killing me. Especially with the big series this weekend coming up against the Dodgers. So we'll see what they do tonight again against the Tigers. But the rest of the time, we're going to talk a little Sixers here. I know we're trying to put the bow on last season. But again, they keep sucking me in, man. I can't quit them. I can't quit the Sixers yet. But today we're going back to June 6, 2001. And we've been talking a lot about this team recently, especially with the documentary that's on NBA TV. But this was the anniversary of Game 1 of the 2001 NBA Finals, the game that the Sixers won 107-101 in overtime. And it was just such an exciting, exhilarating game. They highlighted a lot about this game in the documentary, Everything But the Chip. AI shot 18 for 41, 48 points, 6 assists, 5 steals. The infamous Tyronn Lue step over after hitting that 3. And I'm willing to go out on a limb and say this may have been Iverson's best game as a professional basketball player. And I think because he was able to start off hot, he got bottled up then by Tyronn Lue, but then was able to battle back and make the adjustments and had a monster fourth quarter and helped lead them in overtime. Yeah, there was games he had more points. There were games he shot better, played better defense, whatever. But I think overall, it was just such a clutch moment. And I've talked about this a couple times. I think lost in everything is just how clutch Iverson was in his career. So, I like I said, I'd be willing. There's very few games, I think, as a professional that he played better in. Also lost in this was just how dominant Shaq was in this game. He had 44 points and 20 rebounds, and Mutombo played well. But if you remember, that was when they were kind of just rotating guys in. Matt Geiger just taking up the fouls. Tyrone Hill just using the fouls to kind of try to stop Shaq. And ironically enough, they did this with Kobe. Like, they were able to shut down Kobe. He only shot 31% and had 15 points. But just an exciting game overall. I know there's somebody out here listening to the podcast that was watching the game at his house. I may have gotten a little excited and was hitting the wall. I might have hit too hard and put up my fist through it. I still owe you money for that. Just let me know your Venmo and I can send it out to you. But after that, then we went out on Broad Street. It was crazy. Like, everybody was partying like we had won the championship. And I think subconsciously for us, that was the championship. I think nobody really, of course we were all Sixered up, but I think nobody really thought the Sixers were going to win that title. So the fact that they won Game 1 and the way that they did, I think that's why everybody went out and took to Broad Street the way they did, like they had won the championship. But, I mean, it was a fun time. And, yeah, just give me your Venmo and I'll pay you for the drywall. But PhillyGoat.com, we've talked about this. Father's Day is coming up. It's right around the corner. They have the AI Ear Cup. They have the We Talking About Practice. Go there. Check out their wide selection of all Philly sports apparel, whether it's Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, Phillies. It is Pride Month. They have a great selection of Philly Pride gear. They have boxing gear, Rocky. I talked to you about the Mr. Sandman's Gym. You name it, they got it. Check them out, phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. And make sure it has the goat on the sleeve. I had a couple comments at the one Phillies game I went to just about that. They're like, oh, I like that. What's this goat? So people are going to ask you about it. Make sure it's authentic with the goat on the sleeve. All right, so we're going to continue with Rivalry Week. And Rivalry Week, that's a tough one. And we're going to stick with the Lakers. The Lakers and Sixers do have a pretty storied and long rivalry. All time, the Lakers lead the series 166 to 157, and that's including the playoffs. But when you break it down into series, unfortunately, the Lakers lead 5-1 in playoff series, all in the NBA Finals. First time they met was 1953 and 54, or the 54 NBA Finals, I should say. And that was back when the Lakers were in Minneapolis and the Sixers were in Syracuse. 4-3, the Lakers won that. And then they went on that magical run with Dr. J, where it was basically the Sixers, Lakers, and Celtics all battling. Next time was the 1980 Finals, and that was Magic Johnson's rookie year. Lakers won that series 4-2. Magic had that ridiculous game where he played center when Kareem was hurt and just had like 40-some points. They played again 2 years later in 1982. Lakers won again 4-2, but because of all this, help was on the way. And then 1 year later, the Sixers swept the Lakers in the NBA Finals to win the championship behind MVP Moses Malone. This was the foe in the faux FIFO. And then, of course, the 2001 NBA Finals, where the Lakers did go on to win the next 4 games after this game 1 that was today. There are a lot of connections between the Sixers and Lakers, too. Obviously, Kobe Bryant's a local guy, played his entire career for the Lakers. Sixers famously traded Will Chamberlain to the Lakers after the championship, pissing off a lot of people, including my one uncle, who is now a Lakers fan. The whole Andrew Bynum trade, where Andrew Bynum, I don't think, ever played for the Sixers, but it was the most hyped free agent or trade acquisition ever, who never stepped foot in a Sixers uniform. Of course, Dwight Howard played for the Sixers after playing for the Lakers, and then going back to the Lakers after playing for the Sixers. They did have some good games in the 80s. That was a good rivalry. Like I said, it was the Lakers, Celtics, and Sixers. Game 1 in the 2001 Finals was great, but I think because the Lakers dominated so much, I wouldn't put this rivalry up there with some of the other ones. And yeah, they played a ton. I mean, to play 5 or 6 times in playoff series in your history of your franchise is a lot, but I can't rank this one as one of the higher ones only because the Lakers dominated. I know my Uncle Boo would say, oh, the Lakers, blah, 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 but I can't put it up there. Overall, though, they're pretty even from a win-loss perspective, so I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5 on the rivalry scale. Like I said, I can't put it higher because it's not really a rivalry if one team is consistently beating. My brother tells me that all the time. When Temple and Penn State and him playing golf against me, it's not really a rivalry if one team is not winning. So the fact that the Lakers beat the Sixers 5 times in the NBA Finals, can't necessarily call it a rivalry, so that's why we're ranking it a little bit low. But it is what it is. But on this day, back in 2001, the Sixers won Game 1 of the NBA Finals, setting the city into a frenzy. People were breaking walls, and again, I still feel bad about this all these years later. Phillies looking to make it 4 in a row now, I believe. They took 2 from the Nationals, now 1 from the Tigers, so let's take 4 in a row tonight. Remember to always think, what are your circumstances going to say about you? They don't make you, they just reveal who you are. It's going to be a cloudy day. I heard there's some rain coming into the forecast, so hopefully that'll clear out my allergies somewhat. But go have yourselves a Tuesday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Until next time, I'll see you when I see you.